So I wanted to talk today about New Year's resolutions and why they mostly don't work. And this is kind of reflective in my posts, which I've been kind of doing around the New Year's Eve, all this kind of shenanigans, people going, oh, new year, new start, new decade, new this, new that. And my post was, well, every time we wake up, we have this same opportunity every day to transform our lives and, change ourselves. And this is actually probably part of the significant point. When you procrastinate all year about doing stuff, and then you get to the new year and then you realise that a year's gone by and you haven't done much, and then you think, right, well, I need to change all this stuff if I'm going to have a better new year. And you just did the same last year. And the predominant reason why it doesn't work is because it's not backed up with sustainable intention, sustainable action. The reason is your belief system isn't integrated. You might want to do all this stuff, and there might be a big desire to do all this stuff, but if ultimately you don't fundamentally believe or can see you achieving it, then your subconscious mind is, well, why should I put in all this effort if we're not going to achieve it? We're not going to do it. You've never done it before, you haven't got a track record of doing it, you don't believe it, it's just lip service, you're just saying to yourself, yes, I want to do this and I'm going to do this, and then it's not sustainable. And part of the reason why it's not sustainable is the kind of the 30 to 64 day neuroplasticity rule, which basically dictates that, if you want to create change in your neuroplasticity, you want to create change in your thought patterns and belief patterns, you have to change your emotional relationship with it. And your emotional relationship with that subject matter was developed over many, many years. And that is ingrained into your emotional system, your limbic system. And what it does is it triggers you and pushes you and diverts you and manipulates you. And what happens is people, I'm going to give up alcohol for the new year. And people don't realise that giving up alcohol, well, it means giving it up. It doesn't mean getting 2 or 3 weeks into it and thinking, well, I've done really well, I'll just have one glass of wine or one beer or, whatever your choice of poison is. Now, this kind of relates to a study that NASA did with some astronauts. And what they wanted to establish was whether weightlessness would have an effect on the human mind. It's about disorientation. In space, there is no orientation. For us, what orientation is, I pick this wire up, I drop it, it goes downwards, right? And downwards is our orientation. That's the floor, that's the sky, and, that kind of puts me, my feet go on the floor, my head goes in the sky. And that's just gravity. But when you're in space, there is no gravity. You are in weightlessness. That means any orientation is any orientation. There is no up or down. People on the opposite side of the planet have a different up and down to us. Yeah? Their down is our up. So what they did is they got these concave kind of prism goggles. Not concave, but prism goggles, which inverted the image 180 degrees upside down. So if I was talking to you now, I'd be talking to you like this. I don't know if Facebook has flipped the image back to normal, which I don't think it will have done on my video because it's recording. But if I'm talking to you like this, it's now a little bit weird. It feels different than when I'm talking like this. So if you were seeing everything completely inverted, if you went to shake someone's hands, you'd be like going, you wouldn't know where it is. It'd disorientate you. Your motor functions would be messed with. So they made these astronauts wear them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They had to eat in them, sleep in them, go to the bathroom in them, do tasks with them, everything. Now, they wanted to find out if it would make them irritable, it would disrupt their appetites, lose coordination, make them sick, or anything like that. Now, the one thing that they never actually accounted for, which happened, which it was between day 25 and 30. And between day 25 and 30, pretty much every astronaut's brain flipped the signal back to normal. In other words, up until that point, they were fighting this upside down image, but one day they woke up and the image was the right way round. They were still wearing the goggles, but the image was the right way round. The brain had actually rewired itself, which is what we call neuroplasticity, to accommodate for this new environmental kind of situation. The body adapts, the mind adapts. This is Darwin evolution. Yeah, things change to adapt to environments. So they were like, oh my God, it was incredible. So what they did is they wanted to see, and play with this effect. So they did another group of astronauts, and on day 15, they got half of the astronauts to take off their goggles. Now, the astronauts that kept their goggles on, day 25 to day 30, boom, 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 all of them flipped the signal back to normal. But the astronauts that took the goggles off for just 24 hours, it took another 25 to 30 days to actually embed that pattern, which then rewired the brain to accommodate this new environment. In other words, it took 25 to 30 days for them to see again. The 15 days that they had already done. So what happens is when you do something on a regular basis, you create structural tension. Neurons that fire together, wire together. Now, what it is that when you're doing it on a daily basis, those neurons are firing together and they're wiring together and they're creating new myelin sheaths and they're creating and embedding this pattern. But if you then do not use that or apply it on a regular basis, even if you miss out for just 24 hours, all that structural tension dissolves and disappears. The brain thinks, oh, well, you probably don't need it, so let's get rid of it. And this is why practice makes perfect. Well, it's perfect practice that makes perfect. You can always practice mistakes. But what I'm saying is that it is that applied repetitive action which then embeds memory. And this is why, Bruce Lee said, I'm not scared of, somebody who can do 1,000 kicks. So I'm scared of somebody that has practiced one kick 1,000 times, because it becomes innate. It becomes part of you. Yeah, it no longer needs programming because it's programmed. Yeah. Now the challenge is sometimes we have to delete existing programs which are contradictory to it. So sometimes we want to achieve something, but we have a fundamental belief system that says, no, I've labelled this as danger, and I'm sticking with it. So no matter what affirmations or creative thinking or visualization and all this kind of stuff you do, it won't work. It's like using a toffee hammer to break down, a big concrete wall. It's not going to happen. So this is why I actually created subconscious surgery. Subconscious surgery is to remove the deep emotional limbic system response, that trigger response, which is part of the ego, which is protecting that belief system. And once you get rid of that trigger, so you're no longer stimulated by that thoughts or that language or that perspective, then all of a sudden you can start assimilating the new programming a lot easier. So there are many reasons why your New Year's resolutions are going to fail and you're going to be in the same position next year, promising the same things, is because you don't change the behaviour for a sustained amount of period, and you don't address the deep fundamental belief systems which are the pattern which is preventing you from doing it in the first place. So that's food for thought, and just remember, keep your goggles on.